Good day, fellow noobs, or good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are. Today I'm going to show how to extract text between two characters in three ways. So, one is by using a formula, second is by using text to columns and by search and replace, the third is by Power Query. Okay, so the first one by formula. So I prepared here a set of sample data, one that is uh, so the product is inside two open and close parentheses. So essentially we want to get the product that's inside those two characters. So one way to use that is by formula. So I'm just gonna type here by formula. One way that we can use is using the mid. So mid, to use mid, so we're gonna type mid, open parenthesis. We're gonna select this guy, comma, and then we're going to use search. So you can use either search or find here. I just find the search, it's not case sensitive, so I'm going to type this, then we're going to select A2 again, and we're going to start, no, we have to add +1, and then, okay. So what this means is it's gonna search this text for the instance where the first opening parenthesis comes in. Now we added the +1 because so we're gonna get discount, and then for the start of the letter it's gonna be on the letter A. So we added the +1. For the number of characters, it needs uh, essentially the length. So what we're gonna do is now we're gonna have to find the value of that closing parenthesis. Then we're going to subtract the opening parenthesis towards it. So we're going to open again with search, and this time we're going to put in a closing parenthesis inside of this again, and then we're going to subtract the start of the opening one, which is going to be this one, and -1, and then close. It's, so as a formula, it's a bit clunky, it's a bit chunky, but if you want to use a formula, you can go ahead with this one. Okay, alright. So another way that you can use to get text between characters is using text to columns. So I find that text to columns is much better if you're gonna do this, let's say just one off, or it's not a recurring thing. So to use text to columns, or I'm gonna select this, I'm gonna go to uh, data, to data tab, I'm gonna select text to columns, and I'm gonna select delimited, and then next, then so usually it's gonna be like this, but I already had it configured, so I'm gonna type in here, I'm gonna select other, and then I'm gonna enter the open parenthesis, then I'm gonna click next, and so for this one I'm just gonna change the destination to go to here, and we're gonna click on finish. So what happened is, so as a delimiter, it split the text using the opening parenthesis. So we can remove this, but for this one, there's still the closing parenthesis. So what we can do is, so I selected the output from earlier, then I'm gonna bring up the search and replace, so you can press Ctrl H, then on the find what, you can enter closing parenthesis and then keep this blank, then replace all. Okay, so this is the output using text to columns. Okay, alright, so another way is you can use Power Query for this. So it's a bit of an overkill, but I find there is some use to it. Um, so to illustrate this with Power Query, so here on the Data tab, I'm gonna transform this first to a table and then get it on the Power Query editor. So I selected Get and Transform Data from Table and Range. I'm going to select that it has headers, and we'll wait for the Power Query editor to come up. And okay, so it's here. Alright, so right now we're in Power Query, so we're going to select on Transform, and then on the text to column grouping, we're going to click on Extract. So we're going to select text between delimiters. So this is much more easier because you can basically input what kind of delimiters you want, the start and the end. So at the start, I'm going to put in the open parenthesis and then the closing parenthesis. I'm going to click on OK, and as you can see, it extracted just the products that we need, and I'm going to load this to our worksheet. I'm going to select on existing worksheet, and it's going to be here. Alright, so as you can see, it has loaded the extract from the original text. Alright, so another use, so if you have a big chunk of data, I would suggest you can use Power Query for this one. Also, another advantage is, so let's say if you have a much more complex data. So this is not as complex, but as you can see, there's going to be more text. Now, just to illustrate this, I'm going to load this again in Power Query. So I'm going to put in that it has table headers. And so going back, wait for it to load. Okay, so on the Transform tab, so remember on the Extract and text between delimiters, it is actually not limited to just one character. You can put in, so in this case I'm going to put in the angled brackets, and it's still gonna get what's inside those parameters. So, and then so I'm gonna load this on the second worksheet, and so we have the codes from this type, from this kind of text data. So that's it. So again, this is using a formula. This is for using a text to column, and this is by using Power Query. And that's it. So I'll include all the codes below. If you have any questions, you can comment down below and look at the description as well. And I hope you find this useful. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to enter on the comments below. Thank you, and good night.